What's shaking, everyone? So, on another edition of Know Your Candidate for the 2020 election, we're going to be taking a look at a hotly contested senatorial race in the state of Arizona between Martha McSally and Mark Kelly. It is a weird situation that Arizona finds itself in right now. There is a possibility that there could be count them, two Democratic senators right now. And Martha McSally plays quite a big role in both races, actually, because in 2018, during the midterms, she was involved with Kirsten Sinema, the eventual winner. I put that in quotes because, Adrian Fontes and his discovered 360,000 votes and precariously placed emergency polling stations. That just all seemed to magically turn in Democratic votes in very deep blue districts. I don't know how you properly account for that, but that's neither here nor there. That's already been decided, so whatever. We'll let Kat Timp's less fuckable mother sit in that seat until she eventually loses it. But that's neither here nor there. We are talking about the race right now to fill John McCain's old senatorial seat. Yes, this is in fact the same seat that McSally and Kelly are going to be running for. It was briefly held. I'll give you a little backstory on this. It was briefly held by one of John McCain's old running buddies, John Kyle. In fact, until the end of 2019, when Miss McSally here got appointed by Doug Ducey, the governor of Arizona, because John Kyle retired and didn't want to continue not showing up. Being a senator for the state of Arizona, and constitutional law decrees that another Republican needs to be anointed to fill that seat. And according to Doug Ducey, Martha McSally fit the bill, and hey, she's done a great job since then. So now that the full term of that senatorial seat is coming up in this general election, she is facing a stiff challenge from Mark Kelly, and that's about the only thing stiff that limp-wristed fagaloon can provide. So the entire point of the Know Your Candidate 2020 series is looking at hotly contested races at the federal and local level, and myself loving to do research, I want to inform the populace on what you're going to be voting for, and a little bit of my opinion. Right now, spoilers, save you the rest of the video, I think Martha McSally, her voting record, her background is perfect for this senatorial race, but hey, as we'll see closer to the end of the video, it's tightly contested, but it is looking positive. So we're going to start off by first giving you a little bit of background on both candidates, then we'll look at the policies that they are proposing for their prospective seats, and then wrap it up with a little bit more opinion. So let's just dive right in. So Martha McSally is actually the first female fighter pilot to have ever flown in mission and be a commander of a squadron. Like, this lady's a total badass. One of the other hilarious and awesome things that really, really made her stand out to me was in 2001 when she was stationed in Saudi Arabia. She sued the Department of Defense because there was a mandate for all service women that were stationed in Saudi Arabia that they had to wear abayas, practically needed to be covered head to toe in order to adhere to the Islamic doctrine of Saudi Arabia. She was successful in suing the Department of Defense and had that provision removed, so servicewomen could be fair and equal with their male counterparts and not have to adhere to backwards Stone Age ideology. So US and UK servicewomen were liberated from having to deal with that. Mark that down as a win in my book. So like it says here on the page, she was a US Air Force servicewoman for 26 years, starting in 1988 all the way through 2010. And she achieved, the rank of full colonel, which is amazing. Nobody has previously done that. Well, no female has previously done that, sorry. Yeah, she was there to serve her country throughout all the major conflicts between 1988 and 2010, the time of her retirement. One other major accomplishment for McSally during her time in the Air Force was in 2006, when the AFA awarded her and her squadron the David C. Schilling Award for Most Outstanding Contribution to Flight, a very prestigious award within the United States Air Force. In my opinion, being a serviceman is very important to running for any sort of elected office, because it shows that you have loyalty to your country, and it shows that you have a significant amount of discipline. Everything that she accomplished in those 26 years is exemplary, and somebody you should find personally as a hero instead of any of these wafer-thin personalities in Hollywood. She lived Top Gun, she lived Ace Combat, and did it to a high standard and broke many barriers and many glass ceilings. Tremendous example of somebody who works hard, accomplishes their tasks, strives for better. Let's jump ahead when McSally decided to enter the realm of elected public service now. She started out in the House of Representatives, actually. Her first attempt was in 2012, trying to, in a weird turn of events, be elected to the seat that was previously occupied by Mark Kelly's wife, Gabby Giffords. And just like the senatorial race that happened in 2018, it was very, very closely contested, and it looked promising for McSally. But there was a certain California satellite city named Tucson that had yet to report, and, well, things unfortunately didn't turn out for the Republican hopeful. But like a true servicewoman, she was not deterred, because 2 years later, in 2014, she was elected to the House of Representatives by a razor-thin 167 votes. It was recounted, and then on December 1st, nearly a month after all votes were cast, the 167 vote margin was confirmed, and she was the first Republican female elected to the federal House of Representatives. So that's a fair amount of awesome stuff that Martha McSally has accomplished prior to running for this senatorial seat. So let's give the devil his due, and we'll take a look at what Mark Kelly has accomplished. Mark Kelly is also a serviceman himself, serving in 2 deployments to the Persian Gulf, as well as participating in 39 combat missions during Operation Desert Storm, as he was a naval aviator at the time. What he's most famous for is in 1996, him and his brother Scott were chosen by NASA to be space shuttle pilots. Mark has amassed 54 days in space, and most of that being on the International Space Station. As you see here, here's a picture of him on the International Space Station. Can't take anything away from him. That's a feat not very many people have been able to accomplish, and 54 days in space is, nothing to shake a stick at. Now, Mark joined the Navy in 1987 and served there until 96 and retired from NASA in 2011. And that also coincided with his wife, previously mentioned Gabby Giffords, being shot. We'll just dig right into the story. The suspect, Jared Lee Lochner, has been accused of opening fire outside a Tucson supermarket where U.S. Representative Gabby Giffords, Democrat from Arizona, was meeting with constituents Saturday. 6 people were killed and 14 others were wounded in the shooting. Now, to give you full context on the entire situation, this was a meet and greet held and operated by Gabby Giffords and her team, and this man opened fire, like it was mentioned, killing 6 people, wounding 14 others, but he was also apprehended by a bunch of law-abiding, gun-carrying citizens. And Gabby Giffords was a major gun grabber at the time. Now that is, frankly, we just go back to Mark's page here. Look at everything in his biography, and it's my wife Gabby. Now, if we dip into policies, Mark is a fairly bog-standard Democrat when it comes down to everything. The backer of the Green New Deal type policies that Joe Biden and the like up top are currently behind for whatever stupid reason. But the big thing that Arizona voters need to understand, this guy is a gun grabber. We'll just look at his 4 statements here. Gun rights and safety from gun violence is not incompatible. A gun is designed for one thing, to kill. Gun control is a political issue and we need to have a vote. Congress has done absolutely nothing to stop gun violence. We'll just go back to his official website for Mark is a gun owner and combat veteran, the husband of Gabby Giffords, using her as a shield, who was nearly killed in a shooting, and an advocate for common sense, effective gun laws. Mark understands that a commitment to our rights and traditions is no way incompatible with working to keep us safe from gun violence. Arizona families regularly experience the tragedy of gun violence. Every year, the state sees an average of 244 gun homicides, 669 firearm suicides, 582 non-fatal shootings, and 553 accidental shootings. A bunch of big, scary numbers that don't tell the entire story. The fact that there are millions and millions of guns in Arizona and only 244 people in his metric of gun homicides, as well as firearm suicides and shootings, seem to be incongruent with the rest of the stats that are out there. How many of these homicides and other injuries would have been committed without a gun, which would have been committed with a knife or an improvised explosive? Regardless, crazy people are going to do crazy stuff. But as much as that is the big thing that Arizona voters need to be aware of, we'll take a look at Martha McSally's positions on a whole bunch of stuff. And to save you the reading and to give you a nice understanding, she is very much a Trump Republican. When John McCain was still alive, when you were an Arizona Republican, you had to adhere to his rules. McSally's prior voting record and what she has been doing recently are two very, very different positions. It's mostly still very right-wing Republican issues that she finds herself in accordance with. But what she's done since that wizened old warhawk decided to finally kick the bucket is she's become a much stronger proponent of what Donald Trump has been doing. So right here we've got a record of House and Senate representatives who have voted in line with what Trump has proposed and backed. And as you can see right here, she is a number 4 in consistency. 95% of the time she votes along what the president is proposing and siding with. So if you are a fan of Trump's policies, Martha McSally is the candidate for you. She's not an advocate for having gender identity being elevated to being a protected class. She's also been very vocal in her support of school choice and a bunch of other second-term Trump policies, as opposed to what you get with Mark Kelly, which is a whole bunch of gun control and undue influence from China, of course. Not only is China the largest foreign donor to the Democratic Party itself, Mark Kelly also has a checkered past. Tencent, a Chinese tech company, has invested in Worldview Enterprises, a Tucson-based company, which Kelly helped launch in 2014. Imagine that. While Kelly has claimed to have dropped ties with Worldview, his daughter is still with the company, according to her LinkedIn profile. Imagine that. Kelly served as a strategic advisor of Worldview until launching his Senate campaign last year. He maintains a personal financial stake in the company between $100,000 and $250,000 worth of non-public stock and $15,000 to $50,000 worth of stock options, according to financial disclosure records Kelly was required to file in his Senate bid. That doesn't sound like he's dropped ties at all. So if you guys want to do any more further reading in any of these articles, of course, they'll be linked below as well. We're going to take a look at what the current polls look like. Now, right now, Mark Kelly has a slight lead from the most recent polls. Now, if we take a look at the recent history, they're actually trending in McSally's favor, as much as that +5 seems detrimental at the moment. But I'm also optimistic in this race. I believe that McSally can absolutely pull this off. The policies that she supports are outstanding, and the entire purpose of this series of videos is so that the electorate better understands who they're voting for. And who they're voting for is somebody who has accomplished a fair amount in their life prior to elected office, as well as staying true to their party and supporting policies that the electorate likes and appreciates. I think that she's a great candidate and definitely a well-needed departure for the Arizonans that were sick and tired of the old rhino policies of the likes of Jeff Flake and John McCain, John Kyle. This is a very well-needed breath of fresh air. So that'll do it for me, guys, on this episode. If there are any other races that you would like for me to take a look at, feel free to drop them in the comments section below. I have a couple in the back of my head that I'd like to be looking at here before that fated day in November comes up very, very quickly. We are but a few weeks away, so otherwise, if you like my analysis and you like the videos that I put out, I would really appreciate a subscription as well as hitting that like button. It's very, very easy for you to do, and it does me a world of good. Anyways, guys, I've been Don Khan-Swalo, and I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.